Hi, and welcome back to our podcast, Best Friends and Their Books. I'm Tracy here with my co-host and best friend.
Shelby.
We're so excited to talk to you today about all things bookish, including our book of the month, which is We Used to Live Here. So let's get started. Oh, books we read. That's me. Um, what books have you read this month?
The only thing I read this month was our book of the month. We used to live here. I did not read a single other thing.
I know I keep forgetting this is the book We Used to Live Here as our September book of the month.
Yes, yes.
So I wrote down what I wrote, I think in a no, I guess it was September because I'm like, I didn't read this many books, but I can't remember the last time we talked and like what we had read and what we hadn't. It's been kind of a weird timeline. But I did finish today You Can't Have It All by Stassi Schroeder, and
I still want to read that.
I was excited for that one to come out. Just because like her last book was like all right, but
I actually thought her second book was better than her first book, to
yeah,
me.
I like the evolution that Stassi has done in her books. And I think it's a really good tee up for her coming back into reality TV.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Then I read The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop, which was like my most anticipated read of the year. It was so good. I think Emily Gilmore is probably my favorite character on Gilmore Girls, and I didn't really know that much about Kelly Bishop, and it was really interesting to hear about her life.
Hmm.
She's actually born and raised in Colorado Springs, which is really cool. That's where I live.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah, and she was a ballerina, which I had no idea. So it was really interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. I also listened to I Found You by Lisa Jewell. I love Lisa Jewell. I think I've always liked almost every book I've picked up of hers.
Yeah,
That was a flop. An
it was. I don't
absolute.
think I've even heard of that one.
And I think I got it for like a really big discount on the Audible deal. And maybe they give discounts to books that just aren't very good because
Hmm.
every book I got from that deal I haven't really enjoyed, but I was not a fan of it.
Yeah.
And then this month I finished Daisy Hates, which is the fourth book in the Magnolia Park series. And so I'm on now just started the final book.
Oh, sad.
I know, but I think she's coming out with more books. Like I think it's gonna continue. I think this may be the end of Magnolia's story, but I think she might come out with another one about Daisy, I'm not
Hmm.
sure, but I definitely don't want the series to end. Like
Oh,
it's so good.
yeah.
Have you added
Um,
books to your
Sorry.
TBR?
Not a ton. I added The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden because it's a new book for her this month.
Mhm.
Um or it just came out this month. And then I added Cleopatra and Frankenstein. It's by Coco Malors. She's also the author of what's it called? The Blue Sisters.
Oh,
And I was like looking at that book because I want to read that book soon. And I just was looking at other books that she wrote and I saw the Cleopatra and Frankenstein. It sounded good, so I added that. What
cool.
about you?
Um, this is like kind of silly, but my husband's been using my Kindle, and so he's downloaded a lot of fantasy books, but they're showing up on my Goodreads as I read them, and I'm having a hard time getting them off. So I think I might just go ahead and read them, which I did want to read them too. But there's like a couple series I wasn't committed to reading a series while I'm reading a series, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to finish the Daisy Hates and Magnolia series first. But The Powerless, he read that recently, and then there's
Oh, okay.
one to that one, as well as the like One Widow and The Twisted Crown, which are two like fantasy series that I'm like really interested in.
I haven't heard of that one.
I've seen it a little bit over Bookstagram, but
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our synopsis for our book of the month called We Used to Live Here by Marcus. I don't really know how to say his last name. Kliewer is how I'm just going to say it. All right, it goes. The Turn of the Key meets Parasite in this eerily haunting debut and Reddit hit. Soon to be a Netflix original movie starring Blake Lively about two homeowners whose lives are turned upside down when the house's previous residents unexpectedly visit. As a young queer couple who flips houses, Charlie and Eve can't believe the killer deal they've just gotten on an old house in a picturesque neighborhood. As they're working in the house one day, there's a knock on the door. A man stands there with his family, claiming to have lived there years before and asking if it would be all right if he showed his kids around. People pleaser to a fault, Eve lets them in. As soon as the family enters their home, strange and inexplicable things start happening, including their toddler going missing and a toddler. She was 7, right?
I thought so. And
Sorry.
it said they were working on the house one day when it was only Eve there.
Anyways, including their toddler going missing and a ghostly presence materializing in the basement. Even more weird, the family can't seem to take the hint that their visit should be over, and when Charlie suddenly vanishes, Eve slowly loses her grip on reality. Something is terribly wrong with the house and with the family visit and with the visiting family, or is Eve just imagining things?
Hmm. And I
Spooky.
when we talked about the synopsis, we talked about Blake Lively like being the main character, but then when I was reading it, I totally did not think about that at all, and I completely forgot. And now
Who
thinking,
is she gonna play?
I'm assuming Eve, right?
No, because in my head, Eve had black hair. I don't know. I can't. Eve cannot be a blonde in my head.
What if Blake dyes her hair?
I guess she could, but do we really think that she'll dye it black?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they also said that Charlie had black hair, but to me, Charlie was a blonde.
To me, Charlie was like just I don't know. I just was imagining her with brown hair, like a brown pixie cut.
Yeah, I'm not like bright blonde, but like maybe like a dirty blonde or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they both can't have black hair. That's not gonna work.
No, that's not going to work at all.
I don't know. I just like,
Paige in my head was blonde, so Blake can be
yeah,
Paige.
that would be kind of cool. I could see Blake playing Paige too, though. But I don't
And
think,
also like because Paige is like a mom in the book and she's like a little bit older, and I'm not calling Blake old by like any means, but like I don't picture her as like one of like Eve or Charlie because I picture them as being younger,
yeah, that's a
like
good,
quite a bit younger than Blake.
yeah. I know, because we like, I mean, with the controversy too around Blake and like Lily Bloom, not only like
Yeah.
our stunt, but then even like casting her as that character, like they
Hmm.
won't make the same mistake twice, right? Like she already got so much hate for being old as Lily Bloom because she was.
Well, it sounds like she's already in it. Like I think
Well, yeah,
like
but
they put it in the synopsis. Like I think she's got the job.
as Eve, though.
I don't know. Does it
I don't
say?
know.
I won't be able to accept that.
I don't know. That's what I would assume. I just don't
But it
think.
does say starring Blake Lively in the synopsis, and Eve is the star. So I don't think she would be Paige.
And why do I just feel like Blake wouldn't pick a role where she's the bad guy?
True.
I don't know.
That is true. I know when we picked this book, it was like when um It Ends With Us was like popping off on social media. And like the Blake and I can't remember the guy's name now.
Oh yeah,
Justin Baldoni of it all was happening. We were like, whoa, Blake.
controversial.
Yeah.
I still think that she has like a lot of controversy. I don't. I don't. I think it's gonna be a long road for Blake to get out of.
Yeah, well, people are always gonna remember this
Yeah,
too. Like,
yeah.
because it like blew up and like okay, wait, this is a really random like sidebar. Were you on the side of TikTok with What's in the Rug?
Yes, I knew you were gonna say that.
Okay, so I was like in the middle of the book when What's in the Rug was like popping off the other day, and I was like I couldn't keep the two things like straight. Like in my brain, like too many like creepy, spooky things were happening. Like when she like had the TikTok of her with her laptop like being busted or whatever. Like in
Yeah,
my head, like that was like happening in the book. Like it was too much at the same time.
that's a very parallel like story. I still don't. I'm not convinced either with the rug. Like, it was just rubber,
They
and
took it they took it with them, the police, right?
they took a piece of it, not the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, take that thing away from me. Like, that's wild.
And like I heard like the neighbors in her neighborhood were really like unhappy about like all the commotion with like with the police being outside the house and like camping outside the house. I heard like you could hear, I don't know, apparently there was like a TikTok live and you could hear the neighbors in the background like being like upset. And it just kind of reminded me how at the end of this book, like all the neighbors were outside when she was like coming out of the house with her,
Oh
when
yeah.
Eve was coming out of the house with her handcuffs and like she saw the neighbors standing outside.
Like this lady, like just it's like all like a figment of her imagination, the rug, and she's like, God,
No.
oh Lord. Oh man.
What a time for that to come out and for us to be reading this.
Seriously. Um, I'm also really eager now that we have discussed that it's Netflix. I feel like I'm really eager to watch it. I think that this would be
Yeah.
a really good movie, Blake or no Blake.
Oh my gosh, it would be such a good, like,
But
they
am I
should.
gonna be brave enough to watch it? Is the question. I don't.
No, because I've decided that I can't handle this. Like, I was so scared while I was reading it. Like, I had to put it down so many times. Like, I just got so scared and so spooked and like had to like really like take myself out of the book. Like,
Captivating.
it was very captivating. Like, I was like entranced, like reading it, like was not even paying attention. Like, I read it on Kindle, so I was not even like paying attention to like however much time I had left in the book and what percentage I was on, which I'm normally like watching kind of like. And like this one, I was just like, oh my God, and then I would like need to take a step back, like get myself out of it and like shake off all like the spookiness and stuff.
Yeah.
It was so scary. And we like normally try to not text each other when we're reading our book of the month. So that way, like all of our reactions like on the podcast are like very genuine and stuff. And like I couldn't help myself. I was just like, I texted you, I was like, I'm so scared of this book.
I know I like listened to it while I was at working most of the time, and I would find myself just staring at my computer screen, like not actually working because I was like so entranced by what was happening. Because like typically I can multitask the two, and this time it was really difficult because it was so captivating, and there's so many things in the book that my imagination was really going with that was hard to
Yeah.
anything else. Um,
You know, it was scary. And another thing, when I'm reading our book of the month, or even when I'm reading just like any books, I'm like thinking throughout the book, what am I going to rate this? Like, I don't know why the question just like kind of starts like pretty early. And then I think about it like for the rest of the book. And
yeah,
like certain things will happen, or like I'll notice certain things about like the author. And I'll be like, oh, I think that changes my ratings. And like the ending, like typically has like a weight in my ratings. I didn't think about what I was rating this book the entire time. Like
yeah,
maybe until like the end of it. And I was like, oh shit, I have to like rate this book too. Like it just like had me in like a whole different world. It was very scary, but the author is very good at like captivating you. Like I just don't know what other word to use. Like
yeah,
it had me so drawn in.
yeah. I think that I would definitely read another book by this author for
I
sure.
don't know because I was too scared, so I'm like a little bit too spooked.
I might change. I mean, I feel that now, but I might change my mind, like forgetting that it was how scared I was.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, the book begins with Evie inviting a family who used to live in her home many years ago inside to look around. Is this something that you would have done, and at what point would you put your foot down and take more steps to make them leave?
Hell no, I am not inviting anyone into my house. No. Even when I have people scheduled, like a maintenance person, and I'm like, since I work from home, like I try to schedule them like on days that I'm like,
Oh,
well, I'm a hybrid, but like the days that I'm like scheduled to work at home, I schedule them there. So I'm like by myself. And I'm like, or by myself with my toddler. And I'm like, are we going to be okay? Like, is this person suspicious at all? Like,
yeah.
I don't have anxiety at all, guys. Like, I'm just kidding. No, I would not be inviting any strange family into my home. I've like text messaged the person that used to live at my house because they had like some mail being delivered, and that's like the extent of it. Like, even when he had to come and like pick it up, if it was like a package or something, I just kind of like left it outside for him. Like, I mean, he didn't ask to come in or anything, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not inviting some strangers into my home like that.
I know.
I'm,
It's like a family that like okay, if it's like some creepy man, of course not. But then you see this like family roll up, and I feel like
yeah,
the songs changes like a little bit. Like how bad could it be? Like this man has his wife and his kids with him. But yeah, I especially if I was home by myself, I don't think that I would. I've thought about it before because there's that Miranda Lambert song, right? Like, let me come in, I swear I'll leave, won't take nothing but a memory.
oh yeah, yeah,
I love that song, and I always think about like I would do anything to go inside of my grandparents' old house.
yeah.
I know that people have renovated a ton, and I just want to like go in one more time. And I think about
I
that,
have thought about that kind of stuff too. But
yeah.
I guess
But
since I know it
after
would make
versus,
me feel uncomfortable, I would probably just like, if I were in contact with someone that was like living in my grandparents' old house, I would like, can you send me pictures? Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's like enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think about it as me going in and I want to, but then vice versa. Like, oh no, no.
Yeah.
Like, um, right now, like I live in a neighborhood with like so many different people, but like especially her being in that house and it's so secluded from like
Hmm.
civilizations, that adds a whole different component to it.
And like right off the bat, like things were creepy. Like she didn't even see their truck. Like so
Yeah.
already to start, like questions are and like red flags are going off
Yeah.
in her head.
She had that
You
monkey
didn't even
gun.
see where these people came from, you know?
Yeah. She had
Um,
her
and then
little
it says
sidekick.
what?
She had her little sidekick also telling her, like her monkey guy in her head was saying,
Oh
like,
yeah. Monkey
man.
guy. Yeah, that was a little crazy. And then it says, at what point would you put your foot down and take more steps to make them leave? I do feel like so like Eve says that she's a people pleaser, so like I can kind of understand that. I do have some people pleasing tendencies. I've gotten a lot better as I've gotten older, but I think they're just in this story when they stayed past like their 15 minutes and started like eating like dinner and stuff with her and then still didn't or when they said they wanted the snow to pass and they wanted to have dinner and like Charlie wasn't answering the phone. I was like I feel like she's like in so deep right now like I would have had to been like I'm sorry like you just have to like figure
I'm
it out. I
sleeping
don't know.
tonight.
Call a
Yeah.
cab.
Yeah. Um, I think too when the little girl got lost in the basement, like her boundary was like, we're not going to the basement, right?
Yeah.
And like the little girl gets to the basement. So I think that's when I would put my foot down. Be like, I said we weren't going in the basement. Like, get her out. It's your kid. I'm
Yeah.
a mom with children. Like, I would also never just leave my child in someone's like basement. Like, I would be
And
like,
they were like, "Oh, she'll tire eventually."
no, you
Like,
coach.
no, you go down and get her right now.
Yeah, like no. So I think that was super strange. I think at that moment, I would have been like, this is far too strange than it should be, and I would need them like gone.
Yeah.
I think too, it's like was disappointing because Charlie comes home, and you also should know your partner well enough to be like, oh shit, she's uncomfortable. Like these people need to leave, and like that when her partner comes home, like it, I didn't expect it to go the way it went. With Charlie just like
No.
welcoming and inviting to them.
Yeah, and like Eve kind of explains it by being like how Charlie's kind of just like always says that like the most obvious answer is like what's happening and stuff, but I was like in that situation it shouldn't be that. Like there's a
Yeah,
random family inside your home. There's no obvious reason why like a family that used to live there needs to be in your home,
yeah,
in your secluded home on a snowstorm night.
yeah. Insane. Um, how does the author build and maintain a sense of dread throughout the novel? Which scene or imagery did you find to be the most unsettling?
I found like the basement scenes to be the most unsettling. They like scared me so much, especially because it was like in the book is described like a labyrinth. Like it's like kept going on and on and on. And then like throughout the middle of the book, you realize when they're doing that interview with I can't remember the guy that was like going down there with a prank and his
Yeah,
friend stands at like the door of like a hospital hallway. And then I'm like, oh my God, this basement just like has so many different like components that are just like so like deeply unsettling and like the ants in the basement like all like going into like one certain spot. There were
yeah,
so many creepy things happening in the basement. I mean, I feel like this book I got like such a visual picture of this house. Like I set it all up in my mind and it was just like a very creepy house and like not very open floor plan.
yeah,
So like I always like imagined like all the rooms being like very separated and like something like being in a room that she wasn't in and like
mhm,
something bad going on.
yeah,
But the basement was like the most unsettling thing for me. And then it became the attic, but the basement was the worst. Because this, I feel like the even though she did get stuck in the attic, like you
yeah,
remember when the attic door went up and she had to like and she fell.
yeah,
The whole time I'm just like I feel like she's gonna have to like she's gonna be locked in the basement, and that was just very scary
yeah.
to me.
Especially that night when she wakes up to and like the basement door was open and she went down there,
Hmm.
thought it was Jenny, and then it became like demon thing.
Hmm.
That I think was so unsettling. But I think what like it says like build and maintain that sense of dread. I feel like what maintained it for me was the fact that like no matter where she went, because it's the house is the problem.
Hmm.
No matter where she went outside the house, like nothing solved that problem.
Yeah,
When she went to Heather's house, like there was still this like sense of dread. When she found that cabin in the woods, there's like the sense of dread. When they go to the hotel and they're like finally free, like there was like every place she went, there was still dread.
exactly. Like that. Yes.
It was
Like
awful.
I feel like she probably eventually felt like, how far away can I go to
Yeah.
where I won't have this like dread following me?
Yeah. And I kind of this might be a question later, so maybe I should hold it, but I wonder if that's what Charlie did. Because we think Charlie like got out, right? So maybe she
Hmm.
like was just like at some point in what universe Charlie was just like, get me as far away from here as I can. And that like
Yeah.
self mentality maybe that she had. I don't know.
And also, like, when did we see the last like real Eve and Charlie's Charlie? Because
Yeah.
like when she left in the morning and left Eve there by herself, and like Eve was like, "This would like Charlie would not do this," and like Charlie wasn't answering her phone, and then Charlie eventually comes back and she's like, "Yeah, I had a it was like a meeting with someone or something,"
Yeah.
and like, but like, was that the end of like the real Charlie, and that was like fake Charlie? Like, I kind of do wish we had like an answer to that because once we realized that it was like fake people, like that also made me feel like nothing is like for real anymore, and like that like no one was on Eve's side, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. She didn't have anyone besides her dog.
And then her dog was fake.
Yeah.
Remember, it was fake Shiloh.
Yeah. Were the other family members also evil spirits or just Thomas? Why was Thomas screaming in the snow and hitting himself?
I believe that whole family was evil. And they were ones that kind of just like, you know how at one point in the book where you had to play along with Thomas until you could like really strike him at like a final moment. I feel like the people that were in his family were just like people that never ended up uh like getting out of this like Thomas trance or whatever they were in.
Yeah.
You know, like they didn't try to kill him.
Yeah.
They were so far into it. Like, I don't know, his kids were weird, his wife was weird. Like I definitely thought there was gonna be a little bit more with like Jenny, like and explaining like why she was the way that she was. Like at first I thought there was gonna be some sort of connection with like Allison
Yeah.
and Jenny. Like,
Or like even Paige and Allison. Like I thought there might
yeah.
be like something because this felt like alternate universes and like alternate timelines. So I was kind of thinking that for the family was gonna come back in the timeline too, like as different,
Hmm.
have a reason
Yeah.
there, like something. But I don't know.
Yeah. And like the boys were kind of strange too. Like, I don't know what the point of telling us that like one of them was like kind of I guess like nerdy and the other one was like not. He was kind of like a bad boy or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't really know what like the purpose of like
Yeah,
their side characterness was. They didn't really like nothing really like ended up playing a part.
yeah, because there was like a lot of character building around Paige and the boys and Jenny, but it, like
Hmm.
it was kind of yeah, it was like why
It
did
kind of like had like a dead stop.
yeah, that's kind of confusing.
And I feel like if people are like listening and they have like theories or something, like I really want them to tell us because I do think that like there was so much in this book that like maybe there was something that like you and I picked up on or something that someone else picked up on and could like explain it because there was like so many different
Yeah,
crazy different things. Like it was like every page was something crazy
yeah, a lot of moving parts for sure. Going to why was Thomas in the snow crying?
and hitting himself. I don't know. Like part of me like thought maybe something like supernatural was happening. Um like honestly like trying to like shake out like the evil spirits of himself in a
That's what
way.
I,
Like
yeah, I feel like maybe Thomas was like a good person and this house somehow haunted him.
yeah.
But there's like a good, like nice Thomas like in there somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
That like
Like
try to get out.
yeah.
Wild. How does I don't know how you said his name, Kliewer play the theme of perception versus reality? How does Eve's role as the unreliable narrator play into this?
I like didn't realize that Eve was an unreliable narrator until like maybe the end of the book. Like I was very much like thinking that Eve was the one with like her head on straight and like there was no like I thought she was going to be able to prove the like her trial and everything and like have her backup evidence. Like I thought there was going to be a little bit more like building with that where like people would end up believing her instead of it ended up being her like going to an asylum. So like I was believing everything Eve was saying. I think
Yeah.
were you?
Yeah.
Okay, because like there were sometimes definitely where like they definitely made you think that she should be unreliable because she had that like those thoughts coming out and stuff. But I thought that they were pretty normal thoughts. If like you were in this like kind of scary scenario, like you remember how she was like, they're not real or like
Yeah.
they they just want to insert blah blah blah. Like I feel like those are normal things for someone like that was in her situation to maybe be thinking.
Yeah. But then she did have that weird toy that was speaking in her brain. And I don't think that's a
Yeah.
normal thing to have. Uh,
No.
so then it does make me think like is I don't know. Now that I'm thinking it through, I'm like, were there red flags I didn't pick up on? And I think that that animal
Hmm.
was a red flag. I think that her like people pleasing was a red flag. I think of like her reactions to some of the things were a red flag. Like if I saw a demon in my basement, like I would have been gone forever. Like I don't think I would
Yeah.
have like come back to that house after
No.
that. So like there are some like things that I do like think that are severely wrong with Eve that make me maybe now looking back after hearing this question second guess and I'm like was this all like was she going crazy and this is all
Yeah.
like these timelines and stuff is like all the alternate realities in her own brain.
Yeah. I mean, I still believe that she was like I still believe Eve. I don't know why. I like can't
What?
come to like the terms that she's like crazy.
Yeah. I definitely don't think yeah. I think but I do think that's like a whole point of the book. It's like you just don't know what to believe and that's like so I think he does a really good job in like kind of putting those like ideas in your head while you're reading.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, I think that I definitely don't think that she is the bad guy. And I think if it went to court,
Mm.
like I would but like it's weird to think of it not seeing it from inside of her head what like the outside of her story looked like.
I know.
Because that would I probably wouldn't be Team Eve if I didn't see it that way. I think Heather's role is was in this book, who or what was in her house and what would have happened if Eve didn't leave.
I don't know. I really like when I was reading the part about Heather, I really wanted Heather to be kind of like a savior in a way. Like I wanted her to be like a safe, like I needed there to be some sort of like grounding safe space for Eve because this whole book had me
Yeah.
like my heart like thumping. Like I needed someone to like reel us back in and Heather like there were weird things even before Heather let her inside. So like I guess that like just was not going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, but I really kind of wanted her to answer the phone. Remember like when she was about to leave and the phone starts ringing and Heather's like, "Oh, you're not going to answer it?" like type of thing, which
I would have been
obviously
like your
she's a
phone.
guest in your home.
Go
Like
answer.
you go answer it.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Nobody calls here, so it must be like your girlfriend." And I don't know. I feel like that was like a trap. So I do feel like Eve was smart to just leave instead of being like set up. But I just don't know what that trap could have been. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, I guess she fell into the other trap when they were at the motel, her and fake Charlie. And then she hears real Charlie, but was it really real Charlie?
Yeah.
And she did answer the phone then. So I'm like, was something like that going to happen? I do think probably, yeah.
Yeah. I do think yeah, it was probably like Charlie trying to get her to like come back to the house or something.
Hmm.
But then who was in the house and who where was the light or like what was that whole situation? Yeah,
It's also kind of crazy, like how Heather had like all the pictures of like her husband and stuff, and like she was like saying that he was gone,
yeah.
like he passed away. And then at the end, when the police are bringing Eve out of her old house, she was like, and Heather was there with her husband.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's
it's just like crazy little tiny things in the book that were just like shocking.
yeah. But it like makes me like get into this like timeline like warped reality thing where it's like maybe Heather's husband like does die, but like when she comes back, like there's the timelines shifted again and has her
Hmm.
still alive, or like is that husband the same guy that's like in the woods, but then I don't know, like are these people like all related, but they're just like different glimpses of like different timelines of the different people.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like
It's just
it was mind-boggling.
If we can assume that the person on the message board at the end was OG Charlie, who called Eve at the motel, was Charlie actually trapped and set free somehow? Was it a play from Thomas to get her back into the house?
I do feel like it was a ploy to get Thomas to get Eve back in the house. Although I do believe she was with fake Charlie at the motel, and when she escaped, like I do think she heard Charlie's voice, but I don't know why she like thought that Charlie had to be in the house. I mean, I guess maybe because Charlie called scared,
Yeah,
but I feel like she could have been plenty of places. I don't know. Maybe she could have even been at Heather's house.
yeah,
You know, I I do think it was a ploy to get from Thomas to get her back in,
for
and
sure.
it
Probably
worked.
wasn't there, so that doesn't make sense.
But
But
I
she
don't know. Was she
called
not there or did
her.
she not look hard enough?
But didn't she like see Charlie through the windows? Or was
She
that
might
a
have.
different part? Or maybe it was when
No,
they were
that was when they went to go get like overnight stuff because Charlie like really
insistent.
had to go back in and get her overnight clothes. And then that was as far as we know, that is when real Charlie went in and fake Charlie came out.
Okay.
So I guess in Eve's mind, she was like, well, Charlie must be still stuck in the house because real
Yeah.
Charlie went in and now we're on our way to the motel and like then she was like, this isn't real Charlie.
But why does like some part of me believe that because she said it was like so out of context for Charlie to like leave and not say goodbye and stuff.
Hmm.
So part of me feels like that's when real Charlie left. Like part of me feels like
Yeah.
that morning when she left before Eve woke up is when the last time she saw real Charlie, and real Charlie something also happened to her in her universe and she just got the heck out of Dodge and just didn't look back and then escaped because like when she called Charlie, when she finally went to Heather's house and called Charlie, and Charlie's like, it's really loud here. Like, why are you calling me? Kind of thing. Like, that
Yeah.
already been in a new universe where she is like, in some like somewhere else. Like, it just didn't,
Yeah.
like she had already moved on from Eve at that point.
Especially because like when she did come back and Eve was kind of like where were you? It seemed like
Yeah.
her answer was very like casual, low key, like I had a meeting with so and so. Like it just seemed like, okay, well, why were
Yeah.
you up so early? Like why'd you leave me in this situation with this family? Like
Yeah, you
it
would
just
have
seemed
known
like
about the meeting the night before, and I should have known then, right? Also, when I
yeah.
called you, then why was it so loud there? Like that
Yeah.
doesn't like make
And
sense.
why'd you leave me with this crazy family? Like,
Yeah, like you let them stay the night. You took initiative, like, and then like left me after I had this like I woke you up to tell you about this demon in our basement, and you thought it was like a good time to leave.
yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I can definitely see that. I really want to know like I just want to know some of these like open-ended like questions that we have throughout the book.
Yeah, and even like the Charlie without the tattoo, I'm like, was that Charlie but before she got the tattoo, or like, or did
Okay, I
she get
didn't think
it
about that.
removed? Get it? She get it removed, and she came back, and like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like these just like are different. Like, I don't know, like glimpses of these people. Um. What impact do the interspersed newspaper articles, police interviews, notes, and transcript have? How do they contribute to the story? Did it make it feel more real to you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like they made it seem like there was going to be some sort of like legal aspect of this story, like something like at the end was going to happen with like police and um like that kind of nature. And I feel like they gave hints to different like there was some that had like different like psychosis stuff and like things of that nature.
Hmm.
So I feel like it was setting up for us to be like someone has these like mental illness. Like I actually thought they were going to be more about Thomas. Like because to me I'm like believing Eve throughout most of the story. And maybe I'm just like kind of stupid for believing Eve, but I feel like she was the main character
Yeah,
and we were like not team Thomas. And
yeah.
so like I was thinking like all these things are about Thomas and like how he has these things and that's why and he like basically like acting on those like illnesses.
I thought they were like, because like at first it was like Googling a monkey toy or whatever.
Hmm.
The Mandela effect that the monkey never existed. Or I thought these were all just like Eve's search bar histories.
Oh, okay.
And like they were like coming in to kind of show us like after the fact, kind of like what she or during or after something
Hmm.
what she was like searching. Because it just didn't seem like there was like a rhyme or reason. The first few of them like didn't they were kind of like all over the place. So I didn't really understand at first. And then like the Morse code.
Yeah.
I was like kind of confused by the Morse code.
You listened on Audible, right? To
Mhm.
this one. So I don't know if it did this on Audible, but in the book, like it had like a title to each new document. And like they definitely seemed like they were like documents to be in like a file. Like it was like blank
Oh,
blank document four or like something, I don't know, something weird. Like they had like different titles. So like to me, they were like being put into a file. So I was like, either these are like Thomas's file or like someone else in this story, like Eve's file for like what is it just seemed like evidence to me that was like that had titles. I don't know if it did that on
and maybe I kind of
Audible.
like missed the title. I didn't really understand like what the title was because it would just be like the Morse code would be like really good Morse code, and then it would be like document, and it was like a different like there's like it was a different narrator that read out those documents than the
Oh, okay.
book, and they'd be like document, and then it'd be like Reddit thread, like, and it was like so it was like kind of saying the titles, yes, but I didn't really put it together that it was like a file. To me, it just kind of sounded like I don't know, like you could Google that too. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I
But
didn't.
they didn't tie into like the current chapters that you were like reading to
Yeah.
me.
No.
And I was like, so I need to like remember this for later.
And I tried, but that was like kind of hard.
It
I think
was, yeah.
it was like the Morse code at the beginning of it and then also at the end of it.
I remember seeing it at the end. I don't remember at the beginning.
I think it was just at the end. But
But I
it
do think that there were a few that had um like the only way I know how to describe it, you know, like the wingdings font in Microsoft Word, like its house is like wingdings or something.
oh yeah.
And it's like weird like symbols. Like there was that underneath one of the like document titles. I don't know what that meant. I have no idea.
Oh.
I gotta find it maybe.
So could you see the Morse code like in yours?
Yeah.
It's like what does Morse code look like in real life, like in print?
It was just like dots and like dashes.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't really pick up on that. It was like Morse code until like a few documents in.
Did you like were we supposed to like
Like
transcribe
translate.
translate the Morse
I
code?
don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what they're supposed to say.
Yeah, because I didn't have it for print, so there's no way I could translate like beep, 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 beep. Like I don't know how to translate that, but I like that's so weird.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm sure someone on like Reddit or like the internet
Oh yeah,
like has it like all transcribed and we can look that up.
that's crazy. Um, what? Oh yeah, we just read that one. Sorry. What was the old cabin and the scary old man with the similar scars on his face?
I don't know. It was very spooky, but like I kind of trusted him a little bit. Like only because he was like kind of scared of Eve. Like he didn't seem like a threat in
Yeah.
a way. You remember how he was like you gotta leave or something. Like it felt like he was helping her. But
Yeah.
his house was like, I don't know. I don't really know what to make of his house. Like, was he the one that stole all the documents from I think they said like the bank had like all like the house um layouts and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, did he steal them all? And like, why did he steal them? And like, what is his master plan with all these? Because he had them like taped up all over in one of the rooms.
Mhm. So when
I
I
don't
was
know.
reading it, because he had like the similar scars to Thomas, and Thomas's, I was starting to get the feeling that Thomas was like um different time.
Unkillable.
I was thinking that this old man was Thomas,
I can
like
see that.
later. It doesn't like fully connect though, so I wasn't ever like, yes, but I could like see that this was Thomas, but this was Thomas that kind of like got away but didn't get away, but was like trying to like he was the one that wasn't demented, and he was like or like demented as like the demon inside of him. I don't know what that's called, but he was like trying to get out of the situation. That's why he stole all this stuff. He was like the Thomas that kind of was like crazy, went crazy scientist trying to like solve all this and like
Yeah. Like he eventually just got so crazy that he needed to try to solve the problem.
yeah, because he somehow is like stuck in all these alternate universes and is like trying
Mhm.
to get out somehow.
Yeah, I definitely think he's connected to Thomas in some sort of way like that, especially because they were talking about like the scars on his face and stuff like that, and that's what Thomas had as well.
Yeah.
And to be so invested in like the house's layout and blueprint, like
Yeah.
that's I feel like that has to be Thomas. Like the guy is coming back to like to view his childhood home and
Yeah.
like wants to go inside. Like he's obviously invested in this house.
Yeah. I do wish we had like more of that story. And he that
Yeah, that one.
came back in some component because it just like that was such a big deal to me in the book.
hmm And like
Wait,
why was like the young girl or like who we later learn is like Allison, why is she trying to go back into the woods? Does she also live with that old man?
yeah, that doesn't make sense. The end of the story leaves many unanswered questions. Did you like this open to interpretation ending, or did you want things to be neatly tied up?
I normally do like books to be really neatly tied up. Um, just so I can make sure that I understood what the author was trying to convey and I don't like go off with these like crazy like thoughts about the book and stuff like that. I did like and I understand most books can't always tie up every single thing with like a pretty little bow,
Yeah.
but I feel like there were a lot in this book that was not tied up.
Yeah.
And I just wish there were some things that like had some sort of answer at the end. Like it was almost too open to interpretation. And like
Yeah.
that gets your mind going and it really like kind of like exercises like the what ifs in your brain and like kind of makes it like a fun book to read. Like obviously I was very like I read it very quickly. I couldn't put it down almost like but I just wish at the end there was so much there was still some stuff tied up. Like, was
Yeah.
Eve really crazy? I need to know, was Eve really crazy or was she
Yeah.
normal and everyone else was crazy? Even if it
Yeah.
was just that.
Yeah, I think like yeah, this is there was a lot of what ifs and there was a lot of like things that didn't make sense. And I feel like it adds for like really great conversation and like
Yeah.
let different people think about things, and that's great. But then as a solo reader, when you're just reading this by yourself, like I'm going to forever question things that's gonna drive me mad, like kind of like Verity. Like at the end, it's like what happened?
Yeah.
And that was just one question at the end, right? So
Yeah.
it's like it's even to a different extent because there's just so many different things I keep rethinking about.
hmm And like, okay, I thought about this like a little bit a while ago when you were answering a question, and then it slipped my mind, but now like it's an open-ended question. The monkey that she was obsessed with when she was a child, and it got stolen out of the backseat of her car, of her and her parents' car, and then it ended up being like in the hallway, I think in like the basement in one of like the labyrinth areas. I believe it was in like the hospital portion.
Mhm.
Does that mean Thomas stole the monkey from when she was a child? And really, Thomas has been like alongside with her for like years and years and years. Like, I don't know, these are just like crazy. Like, the monkey was stolen, and then the monkey ended up in the basement of the
Yeah.
house that she bought.
And then I was thinking that it was her. That it was like somehow her that took the monkey from her childhood and like planted it there for her like sanity. Like as an adult. I don't know
Oh.
why. Like,
Yeah, I think maybe I'm thinking a little bit too literal.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know. Either Thomas is time traveling and has these alternate universes, or Eve does, or there's
Yeah.
a demon that does, or somebody. But whoever is time traveling is like doing it to either like is like either Eve like to help herself because that monkey talks in her brain and it's like this like helping her somehow thing, or yeah, it's someone bad doing it like out of like evilness.
Yeah. But we're never gonna know.
Yeah. That monkey really just threw me for a loop the whole time. I don't know why.
It discredited Eve a lot.
Yeah. It also just sounded like a creepy toy. Like I was like, why? Like, okay, like you didn't have any like cutesy toys that you liked. Like, why did you want this creepy monkey? It just grossed me out. What was the deal with the neighbor's house and address changing? Why did it change?
I don't know. Like there was something weird with the addresses. And then even at the end, when Thomas was calling the police and he said the address of their house was 3710, when several times throughout the book it was 3709 Heritage Lane. Like what could possibly be like the significance of that?
I know, was it like the time like Thomas was changing it because in like different times because it's like was more of like a mind thing? Or
Like
was
didn't want to be like associated with like maybe like the old house number, like when he was growing up was 3709 and then it got changed or something to 3710 later.
yeah, I don't know. Like it's like I don't know. It just like doesn't make sense to me why that would
No.
change.
And then the whole part of her, like when she left the house and went to a neighbor's house,
Mm.
um, and she says she like must have missed 3708 because she went to 3707.
Mm.
But what? what's the significance of that? Like, and also how do you miss a house when it's like a pretty secluded road as it is? Like, I feel like it's not like it's like boom, 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 boom house. Like, it seems like she
Yeah,
had to like walk a little bit. Like, how would you miss a house?
house. But also, how
Or
does
was it the old house, like the old cabin? Was that 3708? And
did it
like,
go in order? Like, because I know my street, my next door neighbors like aren't in order, which I always has found really weird. Because growing up, we lived next door to each other and it went in order.
yeah.
But
Well,
my next,
sometimes like my houses right now are like every other number. Like one side of the street is odd numbers and the other side
yeah,
of the street is even.
that's how ours is here. But my next door neighbor is like 984 something, and I'm 5'6", and she's like 4'8", and I'm 5'6", and she's right next door.
Oh, that is kind of weird.
She always laughs at me because I'm always like, "What's your address?" But like, it doesn't make sense to me. Why is she 4'8" and I'm 5'6"?
Yeah.
Like it should be like growing up, it was like 8610, 8611.
No, it wasn't.
What were you?
8620.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, and it just went in tens on our old street. 8610,
I maybe, but there was only a few houses, so
That's I don't think that's
it
that
wasn't
weird.
like they needed that many numbers.
Yeah. Why do I always think you were 8611? Maybe because I just
I don't
assumed like, but maybe I'm just like even. I'm just like totally
know.
like
Oh no.
now I kind of remember you're 8620 maybe. I think I do actually. But that's still weird. I don't know. At least that's it goes in order where I don't think 9546 or 9548 and then 985 whatever. Like my neighbors and I there's no pattern here.
Yeah,
I think that is like so bizarro.
that is.
Um What's your hypothesis as to what was going on in the novel? What support or evidence do you have for it? Make your case.
I when I was reading it, I just truly felt like Thomas crazy, Eve normal, Eve get out of the situation, stop going back into the freaking house, first of all. Like, I don't know if I really had a hypothesis. I really do wish that like Charlie and Eve like ended up together in the end, like Charlie saved her or something. Like I was kind of like looking for something like that. Um, I didn't really have like a ton. I do feel like Thomas's family and like I definitely thought Jenny was gonna have more of like an evil spirit about her because she was doing like the weird questioning, the weird hiding. So I really thought that she was going to tie into this like evil spirit somehow, some way. And then she didn't. So that hypothesis like didn't go anywhere. Um, I don't know. Honestly, like things changed like every single page. It was kind of hard to have like a hypothesis throughout of all of it. The only thing that stayed consistent was like Thomas bad, Eve good.
Which I don't know. So I think that my hypothesis is the only thing that I felt like was a theme and it remained the same was that everything was so inconsistent and everything didn't make sense.
Hmm.
So my hypothesis is that there's either like alternating universes or timelines that are like
Yeah.
overlapping, kind of like they talk about the Mandela effect, like,
Hmm.
why do humans think that way? Is there a matrix? Is there these like
Yeah.
different things that we don't realize? That's what I feel. And it's either that's just like the reality of like this house or the world or whatever, or there's like this like demon that is creating, because there is a demon, right? We saw it in the basement.
Yeah.
There is a demon. So there's like this demon that is this like trickster demon, like making these different alternate realities.
Wasn't the one in the basement, wasn't it Allison?
Was it Allison?
I think so, because she left the hammer for
Or was
Eve.
Allison just like was the demon going into Allison? Was demon going into Thomas? Because like she said that it like the stature came up and it was like over 6 foot tall or something.
Oh yeah. I don't know,
And
maybe
it
Allison was tall.
was she?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I
Like
just like this
also,
demon like took form in other people a lot.
yeah. Like also that kind of brings up what happened when they had that it was one of the like the evidence things and the boys were down there and they were being questioned and the one boy like wouldn't move. Like did he get overtaken by some sort of like the Allison demon or like whatever? Like was like what happened to him? Like who did he end up being? Was he ended up being Newton, the son? Was
Yeah.
he like I don't know, like I
Yeah.
don't
I definitely
know.
like that. Yeah. Um, it says, does your hypothesis change after Thomas gave Eve Charlie's locket at the asylum?
Yes. like that to me screams that Thomas is admitting to like any sort of like the foul play that he did, basically. Like he's saying like you're not exactly crazy, Eve.
Yeah.
Like because the locket, remember when they were right before she stabbed Paige, she saw the locket and it was empty. And she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I just got this at an antique shop." But then Thomas brings the locket back to Eve and it has the picture of Eve in it. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's him kind of like not saying it out loud because obviously he doesn't want to like incriminate himself by saying it,
Yeah.
but it's him admitting that like
Yeah.
he did some stuff, in this house,
Yeah.
did some stuff.
Like part of me feels like Thomas is admitting that he was like the bad guy, but then
Hmm.
another part of me thought like, well, what if this is this trickster demon that's like altering all these timelines, and Thomas is nodding to the fact that he knows that there's like he knows what it was, and he's like giving it to her as like a sign of hope, like I'm on your side. Like it was kind of
Mm.
like a token of like
But he would be so stupid to do that because like Eve would never believe him from
yeah,
all that she was like put through. Like it would take she barely believed him like 15 minutes into being in the house. Like he just never had her trust.
yeah,
Like she always just wanted them out. Like I don't think she's believing him again.
yeah. I don't think she would either, but I'm like, I don't know why else
He
she
would still try maybe.
yeah, because the past two times she had seen the locket, it didn't have the picture in it. Because it was like
Hmm.
about the fireplace, it didn't have the picture in it. So I feel like he's like bringing
Yeah.
it back like with the picture in it, as in like yeah. And it's like not coincidental that they pick Eve for this person or this Eve is, and there's like no like record of her. She doesn't have
Yeah.
photos out there. Her parents don't know who she is. Like, did they go back into these different timelines and erase her from people's timelines? But then they didn't totally erase her from Charlie's because Charlie had like recollection, but it was just like skewed.
Yeah.
So confusing.
But also would it be like him bringing the locket with the picture of Eve to Eve? Is he saying that he knows where Charlie is? Like,
Oh,
so Charlie maybe always had this locket, and then there was the fake locket on Paige and on the fireplace.
yeah.
So does he have Charlie?
Ooh, I didn't even never would have thought like that.
But then I guess she wouldn't be writing on message boards, probably. Like,
Was it her writing on the message board, or is that planted?
oh my gosh.
I know, but you just like there's like nothing is certain.
Yeah.
Um. Oh, then it says, did you translate the Morse code at the end of each section? If so, did it result in change anything? I guess I like want to buy the book now in physical copies so I can go back and look at the Morse code because I'm so confused now, like that I was supposed to be translating it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Morse code. Like, it wasn't like it even didn't even like occur to me that there was Morse code until like the third or fourth document in, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, there's like this code down here. It's
Highlight it
like,
on the Kindle. Is it easy to like translate it?
oh, I don't know. I don't have my Kindle on me. I'll have to try later.
Go back to
Yeah,
um
I obviously couldn't come up with any new theories because I just didn't
yeah.
realize.
Well, I didn't realize, especially like listening to it, like there's no way in
Yeah.
that I could have like figured that out. And I think I only knew, I don't even know if I when I knew, realized it was Morse code because it definitely I didn't at first. It kind of just sounded like Dateline, like when they like end the episodes like doot, doot, like the clock or whatever. Like it didn't
Hmm.
sound like any familiar thing to me besides like maybe oh that's just the closure of this like the audiobook is doing that
Yeah.
as like determining like this is like over for this. So
Yeah. That's
but
definitely
I
something to look into.
yeah, I definitely want to look into that. Do you enjoy reading scary stories? How scary was it on a scale of 1 to 10?
This one was pretty scary. Like 10 for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just like a baby, but like I said, I had to like kind of keep like reeling myself out and like realizing that like I'm not in this like world
Yeah.
that they were in. Um I like I feel like I read like a handful of thrillers, but like they don't have me like heartbeat going like crazy like the entire book, you know? It'll
Yeah.
be like something scary happens and then like we kind of like we do a little like a dip and then something crazy happens. And, like this one was like crazy like from start to finish and scary start to finish.
Yeah.
Um so I don't know. I do like some scary books, but this one was like very scary for me and like I couldn't really read it at night.
Yeah. I like read Layla without my husband being home, like he was on a TDY, and I was like terrified like the whole
Oh my
time.
gosh.
And I like thought back to that, and I'm like, girl, like this is so much scarier than anything I've ever read before. And but I'm like not a scary person. Like I hate scary movies. I don't like that kind of
I'm
stuff.
normally like kind of fine. I mean, I get spooked. Like I'm not just like sitting there like stone faced or anything, but like normally they don't like get to me this like crazy.
Yeah, I was contemplating in this. I was like, life is too short to read about anything besides like happies, rainbows, and butterflies. Like I just so I do think it was like really scary, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
also kind of wondering, like, I know there's obviously lots of like horror books out there, and like I'm sure that's its own little like niche of people that like to read horror books. But this book is very like kind of mainstream. Like it made its way, like,
hmm.
I mean, I saw it several times on like Bookstagram, and like we
Yeah,
don't really follow any like niche horror accounts or anything. So I'm just kind of like wondering how it got there. Like,
yeah.
you know,
I think it's because it appeals to audiences. Like it wasn't super gory, which if it was gory, like I wouldn't have been able to do that. If there was like what?
I thought it was kind of gory, like with like
Wasn't
the
like
stuff at the end, like with,
I mean, like it wasn't like mass murders.
yeah,
I don't
I guess
know.
that's true.
Like the demon part was scary. The ending was a little scary, but I don't feel like it was like overly like
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that wasn't like the main points.
murdery. So I think that it appeals to a lot of audiences. I think like the mindness of it. People, I think it
Hmm.
goes viral because it's like now I'm gonna be like to my husband, like read this because I want to know your thoughts. I want like I like the virality of this because you everyone wants
Yeah.
opinions. I think that like helped it get to where it is. What are some of your most burning remaining questions after finishing the book? Do you want him
Oh
to
my
write
gosh.
all? No, we went over so many already, but
Yeah, I feel like I don't like anything that I've already said, like I think are my most burning questions. Okay, there is one that I didn't realize, but when we were looking at questions for the podcast, we neither one of us remembered this like little girl in green boots.
yeah,
And now I kind of want to know a little bit more about her and like when Eve was like about to hit her when like Eve was driving the car from the motel back to the haunted house and the girl like had her arms like stuck out by her side just like randomly and then like put them down really quick. That's
yeah,
something I need to know what this little girl was. Like was that Jenny?
yeah. Oh, and
Was that
it's
old Jenny, new Jenny?
yeah. Yeah, like this
Um
symbolism. Like, is there symbolism in this book that I'm missing?
yeah, I do feel like there's like I don't I feel like there's stuff that I'm missing that you're missing that other people are missing that maybe we brought up too. Like there's just like so many open-ended questions in this book
I agree.
remaining. I don't think I want him to write a sequel
I
to
don't.
address them. Um,
That would be kind of boring. It's like, let me just go through. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it's like kind of fun. It's like left up to the imagination.
and honestly, when I finished the book, I felt like I like drove away from that house and was like never coming back. So I don't think I'm driving back. I'm not driving back to this one. He can write a different book about like a different like haunted situation, and maybe I'll pick it up. But I'm not driving back to
Yeah.
this home.
I
I
don't
felt
want
so
to get
much
the house.
relief.
I don't want
I
to get
felt
the
so
house.
much relief when we like ended the book. Like I was like, okay, I do not have to go back there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely felt that way too. What
Yeah.
rating did you give the book?
I gave it a 4. It was actually kind of hard for me to rate because it was really good, but it wasn't like 5-star worthy for me because of, like I said, like all the open-ended questions. While I don't mind a few, I do feel like there was like too many. But I feel
Yeah.
like it was really well written. And this was a debut book. This was his first book, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was kind of written through Reddit, is also what I was reading. Is
Oh,
that like he, I guess, like posted like a lot of like different things in Reddit. Like I can't remember which like sub page or whatever and like I guess like got like a lot of like input into how to like write the book and like the scenarios and situations happening. So I
cool.
kind of want to go back to those pages and like look up the threads about this book.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Um but yeah, I definitely thought it was kind of a harder book to rate. I gave it 4 because like there was no reason to give it a 3, but there was also no reason to give it a 5. What about you?
I agree with that. I think like when I finished, like the ending wasn't satisfying to me, so I didn't give it the 5 because I like definitely was like at the end, like that's the end kind of
Yeah.
feeling. So, but I do feel like it has 5 potential, and I do think
Mhm.
that like it was a really good book.
I
And then
also couldn't see this. Um, as a book, like I know at the end of the year we kind of like rank our like top 5 books, and like they're always obviously 5-star books for
Yeah.
me. And I couldn't see this being a contender for it.
Yeah.
While I really liked it, it just wasn't like a 5-star book.
Yeah. I can agree with that. That leads us to our October book,
We
which,
are going to read for October The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. Is this our first Frida McFadden for the podcast? That's crazy.
yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, I just feel like it'll give us a lot to talk about.
It will. I hope it's good because the last one that I read, kind of like by Frida McFadden, I was not a fan of. It was the third in the Housemaid series. And
Yeah.
like her books are corny. Like when you and I were talking earlier, you were like, she's like the thriller version of like Colleen Hoover. And I agree with that take. But like I don't know why. I just like always have to come back for her
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
So
I think that they serve a purpose and there's definitely
mhm.
for them. Like Colleen Hoover, like she got famous in
Yeah.
a reason. Like there's a reason people circulate these books. So
And I don't know how Frida writes so fast because she has like several books coming out like in the same year. Like normally authors
take a
do
while.
like one book a year for the most part, for most of them.
Yeah. Yeah, she does seem to pop them out and she has a ton of books. Like,
Yeah.
how does she have so many good ideas? That's pretty wild.
I don't know.
Right.
Anyways,
Well,
thank you guys for listening. DM us or like comment any sort of like theories or just thoughts you may have about this book because we really want to know. All
yes, love to hear them.
right.
Bye.
Bye.